Go abroad with AT&T prepaid. Now you can take your phone to parts of Europe and the Caribbean with an international travel add-on.
Get my number transferred to this new phone, and I had done the IME and everything else.
I love to introduce somebody really awesome. He is a master of training other speaker, and he is a great speaker because I saw him speaking, and he hardcore. He looks like athlete. He looks like a fighter. But when he starts speaking, he speaks with a real warm heart and really touch people's heart and really fascinate people.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs and square holes. They're not fond of rules and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them or disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the one thing you cannot do is ignore them. Because they change things, they push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones that do.
Ruben West communicates by connecting with his audience when he presents and when he's sharing a key message. Being able to connect and communicate your instructions clearly is a masterful skill.
The ultimate professional. Ruben is a guy that not only teaches a message, but also demonstrates the message. He's helped me to craft my art, and I'm sure he'll help you to craft yours.
Very accomplished international speaker, being able to just connect to any audience, no matter where they come from or what kind of people they are. He helps you and serves you in every kind of way to elevate you as a speaker, and I highly recommend him.
He is a people's heart connecting scientist with a using instrument of your voice and your appearance and your heart, touching people's heart.
His communication is unmatched. I'm Australian, he's American, and it really makes no difference as to our culture and where we have come from, because his message, the way he communicates it, is from humanity.
Find a way to take the next step. Thank you.
The SIM card number you needed?
You want?
Yeah, the number.
I'm back.
Every time I walk out that door, every time I interact with anybody new, my purpose is to help change.
It's time to celebrate life. If you know that you're in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know you want better for your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you have what it takes to be in charge of your life, it's time to stand up. If you know that you are not just trying to be good for you, but for those around you, it's time to stand up. As a matter of fact, look to the person to your left and tell them you are enough.
I want to help you change, and just like you change, every time I interact with somebody, they help me change. It's no different than if I met an individual and they had 4 quarters and they needed change, or if I had $1 and they had 4 quarters, I need to change. We can swap the money. The value is still the same. They still got $1, I still got $1, but we both exchanged something, and it was a change for both of us. So every time I walk out that door, I inspire to help change lives just as much as lives have changed me.
Y'all been listening to the wrong people, watching the wrong things all your life, and it's time to put to rest all those negative thoughts, because you are enough. It's time to put to rest that self-doubt, because you are enough. It is time to get rid of that negative energy, because you are enough. It is time to stop listening to people that don't have the best interests of you in your life, because you are enough. So let's have a moment of silence. I want everybody to understand that you are the person that's in charge of your life. Everything that you have inside of you to be who you're supposed to be in life. You have a destiny, and that destiny can only be accomplished through you, by you, and only you, with the help of God. When you realize that you are the person you are, because you're not a carbon copy, there's only one you. They try to put you in a box. Society tries to put you in a box, but you can't be in a box. How can you be in a box when there's only one you? But then they tell you, think outside the box. What I'm trying to get you to understand is there is no box.
I want to pass on the things that I have to the generations behind me. By the time it's time for me to get called home and go to the grave, I want to be empty. I believe in bankrupting the cemetery, so I can't take this knowledge with me, because the cemetery is already full of brilliant ideas and unwritten books and innovative ideas. I can't take this with me, so I'm trying to leave it all here as Billy Graham Jr. to the next generation so somebody else can carry it on.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, I'm Brian K. McNeil, the Sales Confidence Coach. And what I do is I help service-based entrepreneurs to sell their services better than they ever have before, so they can earn more money than ever before. I teach them what to say and what to do that infuses them with more confidence in their business than ever before. Again, my name is Brian K. McNeil, and I am the Sales Confidence Coach.
Oh, I just heard something. That might have been that. Let's see if I see a text. Oh, yep, I see a temporary PIN code. It says that it is 0968.
Thank you. So that's a temporary PIN for 24 hours. 1 moment.
Oh, yeah, no problem.
I'd like you to imagine with me, if you will, opening an app where you can collaborate with like-minded individuals from around the world, get inspiration and in-app tools to launch and grow your business, as well as share your knowledge and earn compensation, all in one app. Well, the name of that app is Truso, short for Truly Social. Hi, I'm Matthew Newman, the founder and CEO of Truso, a new concept in social media. Truso is designed from the ground up to be a platform that's both social and empowering for all its users. How exactly do we do that? I'm glad you asked. First, Truso brings the world together via video. Psychologists assert that video provides a significantly more effective connection than audio only. When you enter a community on Truso, you're face to face. Second, on Truso, you don't have to have 1 million followers to monetize. Our business model allows all hosts and moderators to monetize, no matter the size of your following, by 1, producing fee-based content, and 2, inviting others to join the platform as subscribers. Even more, Truso has an in-app resource library with over 100 free resources, forms, and documents to help you build your brand and grow your business. Third, Truso is inclusive. The deaf and hard of hearing communities make up 360 million people worldwide. Unlike audio-only apps, Truso embraces this community. providing a networking platform that allows them to participate via video and closed captioning. We even have a deaf and hard of hearing foundation in the works as well. Fourth, Trousseau is both social and safe. We refer to Trousseau as a virtual extension of the beauty shop, barbershop, and brainchild of the community. A place where there's laughter, along with wisdom, growth-oriented conversation, and genuine connections in a safe space. Trousseau even has proprietary security to ensure we maintain a safe environment for everyone. Where are we at now? Trousseau is live, y'all. We've launched in beta and we're acquiring users daily. We have an incredible development and marketing team, plus amazing celebrity influencers at the table, helping us spread the word around the globe, beginning within the African diaspora and beyond by creating a safe space for growth, connection, and collaboration. We're truly excited about Trousseau. We've created something special for which there is a global market. And we invite you to embark on this journey with us as a shareholder. The future for Trousseau is truly bright. Join us and let's go there together.
But don't hang up.
All right, I won't.
Wait for the next available representative.
Engage, inspire, empower. That's what I help you do as a celebrity, speaker, trainer, and coach. Hi, I'm Barbara H. Smith, known as the Masterful Presenter. I am the one that can help you dig deep inside your passions and deep inside your life to get you to the place you always dreamed.
I had the pleasure of hearing Miss Barbara Holmes Smith speak today, and just from her speaking to me today, I have realized that I need to have personalized my alter ego and be able to put myself out there a lot more.
I help through speaking techniques, teaching you how to use your words and your body language to inspire people to come up higher.
Today's presentation with Ms. Barbara was just outstanding. She has really helped me with her personality, with her being so genuine and passionate about what she believes in and helping to coach, train. Her sense of humor, her energy is just incredible.
How do I do that? By coaching and speaking and training. I help you with whatever it is that you want to do next. What is your next? Are you ready to take your life, your career to the next level? I can get you there. Contact me at www.barbarahsmith.com.
Earlier. So I'm going to connect you over on their line to their queue to speak to the next available representative. Again, there's no background noise.
Just some of the amazing shows that we have here on the network. That was a little bit about Barbara H. Smith and some of the things that she's got going on. And of course, it's a lovely day here in Durham, North Carolina. It's about maybe around 80 degrees or something like that. So a lot of great and lovely weather. And of course, we've been having some interesting shows. And I've got some amazing guests that are going to be joining me. And we're going to see what kind of conversations they've got going on, including some in the performance space. So I'm going to bring in our amazing guests and get ready to get engaged in an engaging conversation with them and all along those lines. So definitely get ready to do that. and have them tell a little bit about themselves. But definitely glad to have some amazing guests on.
My name is Reggie. May I have the phone number you're calling about?
Yes, I'm calling about how's it going there and everything. I'm gonna have to do one other quick ad. I was not expecting that, but we're doing two things at once and all along those lines. So if you hold on just 1 second, I'll be right back and we'll have our engaging conversation. Sorry about that.
All right.
Yeah, I was doing two things at
Charles Gates here, host of Local Legislator Live at 11, where we air most Wednesday mornings at 11 a.m. on both Facebook Live and YouTube Live. We have two purposes at Local Legislator Live at 11. This is a new product that we're putting out, and I want to introduce it to you today. One is to help you become a more concise messenger. What does that mean? That means stop rambling and being able to share your message and share that message with 12 words or less. Number two, be a better deliverer of that message. Deliver with power, deliver with energy, instead of sending people to sleep. If that is you, come see us, reach out to me at letstalk1031@gmail.com. We want to see you. Again, that email is letstalk1031@gmail.com. We've got the answer for you because we want to make you the best you can be. Come see us. Take care.
I love to introduce somebody really awesome. He is a master of training other speaker, and he is a great speaker because I saw him speaking, and he hardcore. He looks like athlete. He looks like a fighter. But when he starts speaking, he speaks with a real warm heart and really touch people's heart and really fascinate people.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs and square holes. They're not fond of rules and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them or disagree with them, glorify or vilify them, but the one thing you cannot do is ignore them. Because they change things, they push the human race forward. And while some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think that they can change the world are the ones that do.
Reuben West communicates by connecting with his audience when he presents and when he's sharing a key message. Being able to connect and communicate your instructions clearly is a masterful skill.
The ultimate professional. Reuben is a guy that not only teaches a message, but also demonstrates the message. He's helped me to craft my art, and I'm sure he'll help you to craft yours.
Very accomplished international speaker, being able to just connect to any audience, no matter where they come from or what kind of people they are. He helps you and serves you in every kind of way to elevate you as a speaker, and I highly recommend him.
He is a people's heart connecting scientist with a using instrument of your voice and your appearance and your heart, touching people's heart.
His communication is unmatched. I'm Australian, he's American, and it really makes no difference as to our culture and where we have come from, because his message, the way he communicates it, is from humanity.
Find a way to take the next step. Thank you.
You have to love technology and bill collectors. They call at the worst times and all of that. So that was what was going on. I was trying to deal with that and, of course, do my shows at the same time. So that's always what happens is that there's always the people calling at the wrong time and you're trying to get them straight and get yourself straight as well. But I know Carla has told me that you are an amazing performer and an amazing person. And as I was saying at the beginning, we've been having some unusual weather here in Durham, North Carolina. It's about 80 degrees a day, and I think it might be getting a little bit cooler, maybe in the 50s or the 60s, but still not typical March weather. And of course, we are seeing more and more people getting out of their mask and getting out of other things. So if you'll tell our audience about your life and how you're doing and what's going on in your world, and if you're having some unusual weather in your part of the globe also, because like I said, I know it got up to, I want to say, maybe around 80 or 81 yesterday, and they were saying that we might set a record and maybe even get like closer to 83 or 84, and they might have even said 85. But I know it was definitely not what I was expecting for the first week in March, as the day would be the conclusion of the first week in March, it being the 7th of March, and all of that. So how is life treating you?
Life is good. Life is good. Thank you for having me on. I am Annalene in the spirit, and I am currently residing in Richmond, Virginia. So right now our weather is warm. We got warmth now. We got heat. So it's a little unusual for this time of year, but we're good. I'm originally from Iceland though, so I'm not sure if they have any weird occurrences in the weather right now. I haven't spoken to anybody lately, so don't know. I don't know.
And you said that you're from Iceland, and we've had visitors from all over the world. I don't know that we've ever had anybody from Iceland, even though we do have a show that comes out of Switzerland. And it's definitely one of our financial shows that we do on the network. And I understand that you are even involved in like some Iceland talent competitions and all along those lines. So I guess the first question is, how was life in Iceland, and what the heck moved you from Iceland to Richmond, Virginia?
So I did participate in the Icelandic Idol, and I came in second. So
Okay.
that was an experience. That was a few years back, and then I moved to Norway from there. And for my own company, it was like a music house where we connected artists from all over the world, and we're collaborating on projects and yes, helping connect people pretty much. And we're also a recording studio. So then music brought me here. Let's put it like that. Music and love, put it like that.
Okay. So somebody that you had fallen in love with all the way from Iceland was living in the States, and you came all the way over here. I know when I oftentimes think of those countries like Finland and Iceland and other places, they usually have their own unique style and their own unique music that is native to that culture. So how much of the music that you perform would you say is influenced by your homeland, and how much of it is more Americanized? And who are some of the people that have influenced you, whether they are from here or even your own styles of music? Because I do know that all the regions of the world bring their own unique styles into their musical endeavors.
Yes. So I would say Icelandic native music, or the original, I guess the original music for their ethnic music. Our ethnic music is mostly like drums and like skin drums and hand drums and like the big ones, big barrel, I don't know what they're called.
Yeah.
And a lot of like violin sounds. And as far as the singing, I incorporate also it's like chanting, but it's more belting out the vocals versus like maybe being in a softer tone. So I incorporate those into my music. I like music that has I like beats that have violin in it, or music that has violins in there. And I love drums. So, and then as far as my singing, I would incorporate the tone of voice.
Gotcha. Are there any particular musicians that really inspire you? Because I know some people are still inspired by like the Beyoncés of the world, the Janet Jacksons of the world,
Yes.
and even maybe some of the other ones like Ariel and a number of other ones. But are there any people that really influence you?
Yes, I have a few influences. My all-time favorite is Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson is my my main influence through since I was little. And then I have I'd say more like genres, more times that I am influenced by, like the Motown, the whole Motown sound. I loved how it sounds timeless. It sounds classic. It sounds melodic, and it was still energetic. So yes, that plays a big part as far as influence. Yeah.
Now, I know here in the States, a lot of times people will be influenced by not just the outside music, but also the music from their church backgrounds and their spiritual backgrounds. So I was just wondering, and also from family members, because there can be sometimes family members that either sing themselves or are performers themselves. And definitely, we do know that different people will attend different faiths and go and get involved in the music in their church environment. So I was wondering, was that something that you were doing as a youngster, and did that influence any of your musical styles as well?
So, ironically, Icelanders are not much churchgoers, or like maybe not every Sunday service. We're not that kind of churchgoers. We might go if there is a wedding or funeral or like a certain ceremony being held in the church or concert, and that which brings me to both my stepdad and my grandfather. They were both in men's choirs.
Okay.
So I used to tag along to practices and stuff and concerts, and was flower girl one year, and like we had certain activities within the choir. And then also my stepdad, he used to teach me, or took me aside and actually put effort into teaching me about breathing techniques and certain vocal runs and certain things that he was learning himself. So yes, that was more so what I was doing when I was growing up.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense and everything. I was wondering, for those that are watching, and we are a global community, which means that there might be some people that have visited Iceland. I know that I need to get out and do some more visiting of the world. So I have not been anywhere near Iceland, but if there were people that wanted to go visit your homeland, what should they expect other than cold weather? Because it is called Iceland, and there's got to be a reason for that and everything. But other than the cold weather, what kind of other things should folks be expecting? And what are both of the known jewels of Iceland as well as the hidden jewels? Because I oftentimes find that when I talk to people from different parts of the world, they can tell you about some things that you might not know about because they are from there, and therefore those are like the hidden treats. Like if somebody would come to Durham, I would tell them about the Eno Festival, which is a festival that we have every July, and all along those lines.
So we actually had a lot of increase, a big increase in our tourism when we had the bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, they kind of figured that tourism was going to help the economy build back up. So they emphasized on a lot of our pearls and built like more tourism access around it, and like more tours, and they emphasized more on it. As far as like which one, there's so much you can see. I absolutely encourage people to go and visit, because there's so much to see, from glaciers to untouched landscape to volcanic activity. There's actually an ongoing volcano eruption right now.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so it's between the what are they called, the plates, the tectonic plates. And when they now I guess there's more lava coming out, and they're going to be it's going to be doing that for the next few years. I'm not good with the analytics of it, but it's going to be over some time now. So if you feel like going, it would be a good time to see that now.
I might have to just keep you in mind on that and go visit that part of the world. I know here in the United States, musicians in the past, before the pandemic, and even yeah, definitely before the pandemic, and even to some degree during the pandemic, would complain about not being able to get enough radio airplay, because a lot of times independent artists did not get the kind of love that they needed. And then there were people like Prince and others that kind of created their own way of getting their word out, whether that was releasing their own albums under their own labels, or whether that was just doing the whole independent thing. And we are seeing more and more people that are coming out now using things like Bandcamp and Reverb Nation, and even releasing things on their own and hitting apps like Clubhouse. So I was just wondering, is that the same issue in a smaller country like Iceland? Because I know that y'all have radio stations and television stations. I don't know whether they're nationally owned or whether they're private entities, as most of the ones here in the U.S. are, even though most people would argue that those are still owned by 5 or 6 major corporations. But how difficult was it to get played in Iceland, and is it easier to get played, is I guess the real question I'm asking. And have you run across those issues both there and here?
I want to say it's been, people have been more susceptible to my music over here, so I get more interest over here than I did in my country. And I was trying for a very long time. Like, I've been making music since I was 14, so I was, in talent shows, and all kinds of tribute bands and shows, and I've been in the industry for a minute, and then I started bringing my music down to the radio stations, and was doing that on a weekly basis. I was being very, very irritating to them, but but they knew me very well. And then after that, I did the Idol, and then it became more like, oh, okay, oh, you make music, so so they started reaching out more, and got some music placed on my in some movies and TV shows, and it was played on the radio, and so it did kick off a lot more than when I was doing it just by myself, based off of my own reputation without TV, you put it like that. So TV definitely helped with my boosting and radio interviews and stuff like that.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. What was it like, and what is the difference in something like an Iceland Idol versus a American Idol kind of competition? I imagine that they're the same kind of model, with hundreds, if not thousands, of people auditioning, and then you trying to go before some judges. I imagine that y'all have y'all's own version of Simon and some of the other judges that were on American Idol. I know that we, when this network first started, we're hoping to get her back. We had Alexandria May on, and she was actually the winner of one of the South African Idols, and is definitely known as a singer-songwriter type and all along those lines. So I just wondered if you could share a little bit about what your experience was like in that Idol space as well.
So I didn't tell anybody I was going. I just kind of decided for myself, and then showed up for the auditions, and we had to stand. Iceland is considerably smaller than the States. Right. We are only 350,000, if that, or 360 maybe, give or take. And so there's only a small portion that competes every year, and the season I was in was, I think, 7 or 8. I'm not sure which one, but what they had a few seasons before I entered. So I knew at that time, maybe, you got to wait a couple of years before certain people grow up and want to follow the dream, because it's not like over here where you have plentiful of people, and, there's talent every year, and you could maintain a show like that every year. So over there, it's more like they'll do it once every 4 years,
Yes.
More so like that. But there was a long queue, and then they kind of just filter through. It's like a filtering system. And I stayed there. The first day was, I showed up at like 5 a.m, and I stayed in line waiting. It was actually 3 auditions in a row. So we went into a room, and we auditioned in front of 3 people, not the judges, 3 people, and they voted and gave a yay or nay on whether you got through or not. And I got through all 3 auditions there, and then they filtered down to, I think it was 40 or something like that, and then they took us to another location and did a like a little side show or something out of that whole experience, and that was like 18 hours. So it was a long process. And then when I finally got through, we did the first TV show. So it was like a filtering process through like X amount of people, like hundreds of people or thousands of people, and then down to hundreds, and then tens, and then we were finally, I think we were first show we were 13, first TV show.
And were the judges similar to the American Idol, where it was like celebrity folks that were from the industry, or was it like different where they weren't as known maybe to either the Icelandic people or to people in general? I mean, does it still have that kind of star promise that you get in terms of the judges?
Yes, they do have 3 national celebrities. I mean, people know who they are. Whether they are musicians or performers or actors, or it's mostly music related celebrities. But yeah, they do have, and it's usually like the same dynamic, where they have like Simon and then they have a lady, and then they have somebody on then who's more comedic, I guess, towards. So, they do have a similar setup. It is kind of like a blueprint, if you will.
And what was the feedback that you got from those judges, and what kind of things did they tell you when you were singing? Did they give you some feedback about your style and what they thought you were doing well or not well? I mean, you made it up into like being a finalist and almost taking the title, so they must have been giving you some very positive feedback. But I was wondering, what kind of things were they telling you that you might even be sharing with some of the people that you are mentoring now?
They taught me a lot. So I had both good and bad. I don't really look at it as bad. I more so look at it as constructive, because it was always something to take from it. And versus I may have looked at it at the time like, oh no, I'm still gonna do it this way, I'm still gonna put and then I ended up going in the bottom 3 the next week, and I was like, oh okay, no, I actually got to change some things, because they are listening and they are watching, and it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna do what I've been doing all this time. Is actually learning and growing every step of the way. I learned a lot as far as like camera angles and interviewing skills, certain things that I wasn't too good at, or as good as my gift is, so it definitely helps. I recommend it. I recommend the experience.
Sounds like a really good experience that you had there, in the sense of being able to learn a lot about yourself and get things done in that sense. So it sounds like it was a very positive experience. I know that one of the things, and I've talked about it with entrepreneurs and creatives, is that we can sometimes be our own worst enemies. And there are 2 types of folks that are out there. There are the well, there's more than 2, but there are the folks that want to nag you and tell you all the reasons that you will never make it and all of that. And they can be very naysayers and all of that. And then we can also have our internal naysayer, that person that will tell you, don't go for this, don't go for the competition. I mean, you apparently did not listen to that inner voice, but not everybody does that. I mean, I'm sure there were even some people that were telling you, when it comes to romance, and I'll ask you about that individual in a little bit, but they were probably saying like, why the heck are you going to go all the way from Iceland to Richmond, Virginia to pursue this romantic notion and all of that? So I guess my 2 questions for you in that sense is, how do you deal with both the internal naysayer as well as those outside critics?
Outside critics, start there. I like to think of it in the terms of balance. So if I get people gushing about my artistry or my talent or performance or whatever they've seen or heard, I almost expect I almost expect the other side as well, for somebody not to like my vocals or not to like my performance or have something to say about, and it's always like that. I was actually just speaking to Miss Carla the other day about this. So we we have them too. They are there, and I always bring the same story. And there was one performance I did in the Idol, and I was checking, the feedback underneath, because I had a fan that used to post every performance every week. So I would go and see what people were thinking, how they felt about the performance. And there was this one guy who commented, "Oh, it's like somebody's strangling a cat." And I said, "Oh, I guess I'm not everybody's cup of tea." So it's okay. It's okay. It's very humbling. So it definitely gives you different perspective.
I'm sure it gives you definitely a whole different perspective as to what that would be like, and all along those lines. Now, what about that internal critic? Because I know that not just the outside forces, but sometimes we can be our own worst enemies. I've oftentimes
Yes.
talked about how there might have been jobs and even opportunities that I have turned down, and then had that conversation for days and weeks, and then after a while, it's like, oh, I guess I don't have to worry about getting that job because I never applied for it, and Joe Blow got it. So therefore, it's a moot point because we can sometimes defeat ourselves. So how do you deal with that as well?
Well, I'm definitely my own worst critic, because I will sometimes overthink and overanalyze, and sometimes it stands in my way, and I will miss out on an opportunity or a show or something, So I'm trying to be more aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And silence it when it comes up, and just do it anyway. It's kind of like courage,
Right.
that kind of stuff. So it's there, and you're just like, okay, you're not gonna win today. You're gonna just do it anyway, kind of stuff. If that helps.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And that's what you have to do is silence your own critic and silence that whole attitude and everything. When you see other folks that are wanting to break into this industry, it is not an easy industry, any aspect of entertainment or media. What advice do you give to not just young folks, but I mean, there are folks that break into it when they're like in their 70s and 80s. I'm not quite there, got another 10 or 15 years, but my dad is a visual artist and he's in his early 80s and still engaged in his visual art and all of that. But I'm just wondering, what is your thoughts when folks are telling you that they want to break into this field, and what kind of advice do you give them?
I want to say the best advice I was given was, one, don't stand in your own way. And then also be consistent with your artistry. Be yourself, be authentic, and stick to your lane, if you will. And don't start changing yourself and changing out of your your craft, your gift, to suit somebody else's needs, because everybody out here want to be somebody, and they all want to change you into what they think is best for you, and it's going to get confusing. So yes, stay true to yourself.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Stay true to yourself. Speaking of staying true to yourself, a lot of times when we see celebrities or we see entertainers of any sort, they are oftentimes caught up in the whole imagery and the creation of an image. How important is it for you to create some sort of image for yourself? And do you sometimes feel that the artists get caught up more in the imagery than in the actual talent? Because I do know that sometimes we know more maybe about, and don't get me wrong, I do have respect for her as a talent, but we may know more about Madonna, the performer, in terms of her imagery, and definitely Lady Gaga, than we do about their actual talent. But I was just wondering, how do you deal with that as an up and coming artist?
Okay, that was a good question. So I think as far as the whole alter ego thing, so I did dive into it a little bit, and I did experiment with it for a minute, like change my name around, and took up an alias and then thought about, maybe if I'm this person, what would this person do on stage? And, and it just became extra versus just being myself and singing from my soul and my heart and being on stage because I love it, and then whatever art comes from that moment more so. Or in case of like in visual, like I like for my art to show in every aspect, like my photos, my videos, my music, even artwork, cover art, like down to the lettering. Like I wanted to kind of hold hands as a like a branded image. Yeah, it's a brand, but it's more authentic to who I am versus like trying to figure out another person or another figurine or character.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Another thing that I've heard people talk about, and we brought it up on this issue, even with some big time entertainers like Theodosia Ely, who did that song "Stand Up" in it, and a couple of other ones as well, is well, actually, two questions I'm going to ask based on Theodosia's background and just music in general. But the first one is, a lot of musicians and a lot of entertainers are real good at the show part of it, and sometimes that can be what I was just talking about, that imagery, not always that great on the business side, and we do know that they call it show business for a reason. So I was just wondering, how have you dealt with that, and do you feel that you have learned a lot about the business aspect, and do you feel comfortable as a businesswoman, or do you feel that that's something that you need to turn over to others, whether that's your accounting or whether that's your management or whether that's a number of other things? Or how comfortable do you feel on the business aspect of what is obviously a vital part of this career, since they do call it show business?
Yes. So I realized, so for a long time I was just doing everything myself, and I was like, oh, I could do that myself. Yeah, I could do that myself. I don't need to, And it became very overwhelming, and I had to sit down with myself and say, okay, so what is it that you're good at? What can you handle? And what is it that you suck at? Let's just be honest, which one are the ones that you actually absolutely need help with? And management was one. Organization, like Miss Carla could tell you, I really needed help there. And as far as production, engineering, like I can do that, but I'm not an engineer, so I had to delegate that as well. And then also, as far as the business side, I still feel like there are certain roles that I would need people to be put in because they're not working for me, as far as like for me doing it by myself. Like I definitely need help doing that. So we're still working on building our team, but so far we got good people coming on board. So it's looking a lot more structured than it was maybe 10 years ago, I'd say.
That's good that you got that structure and everything. The other thing that I was alluding to, because definitely it has been an issue in a lot of different ways, and I was just loving to hear your thoughts about it, is that while you ladies are doing quite well in the entertainment field, we also know that this can be a sexist field on two ways. One, in terms of who's in charge, because I don't know that there are enough gatekeepers and things along those lines that are women. And even in some cases, we do know that in certain industries, and I would imagine even in the music industry, that pay rates aren't always that great either. And then we've got folks that are singing very sexist songs. So I know that you sing a lot about romance and things of that nature, which is actually the opposite of that. But I was just wondering your thoughts around some of these lyrics that are definitely not that friendly toward women, and the role of women in the industry, and particularly in the music industry, because I don't know that I'm seeing enough women in strong leadership positions as much as probably should reflect society.
And you are correct. It's very male dominant industry, and down to the bands. Like when you're finding instruments, like it's very rare to find a woman playing, unless it's mostly keyboards. I rarely find female drummers, but then again, I might not be looking in the right areas too, because it's just what I see most, and what I've seen like from my country to Norway to Spain to over here, and it's like it's predominantly male oriented, but it is there is a lot of bad seeds anywhere. I mean, you can find them anywhere. To me, yes, pay is very. There is a difference in the pay. There's a difference in opportunity also. Like sometimes we won't necessarily be even put up for the lineup because there might be, you know, some buddies or something that might be more friendly with the person who is planning or so on, is scheduling, and or promoting is in promotion too. So definitely within the radio, I felt it there. Yeah, it definitely happens, and some people are more blatant with it than others. You know.
Yeah, I can definitely see that where some might be a little bit more blatant and not be as friendly in that sense and everything. Have you found that your music is received better here in the States than say it was in Iceland? I know that I've got a friend of mine that's in the funk music space, originally from New York, and I know that sometimes he talks about you know that not always getting the kind of respect in certain places, and this is definitely home for him now, but maybe not getting the kind of respect that he would when he's going out of the area. And I imagine coming all the way from Iceland that you've run across that as well. So I was just wondering if you could say as to how you're doing in terms of being having the appeal and having people respect you coming from another part of the world, because sometimes we respect folks that are visitors more than we respect our native folks.
Yes. So, well, it's kind of like that in my country too. So, like I said, I had to really, really push myself through a lot of barriers, like when they didn't even want me to. So, I did that for so long in my country, and even when I did do the Idol, it wasn't necessarily my original material that was being picked for the movies and stuff. It was more like, oh, hey, we have this song we want you to sing, you know, and we're gonna place this song, which is my song, in the movie, you know. And I was like, oh, well, can I at least, you know, write on it? You know, can I put my words on it? And they were like, yeah, sure. Right. And then when I wrote my words on it, they were like, oh, hey, we're going to have somebody fix your words. So it was a lot of those kind of moves going on. So even though I did 13 weeks of Idol and, you know, kick butt every week, it was still like, oh, yeah, yeah, but it's still, we don't know about you, you know. So I said to myself, let me get out of my country, because the way it kind of sometimes works over there is you go outside the country and you make it somewhere else, and then you come back in and they're like, oh, you're our favorite Icelander, and you know. So I figured I'd just go, since I already hit the ceiling and kept hitting the ceiling, I'd go and try other places. And I went to Norway and was well received over there. They love my sound, and you know, I got a band together and started doing a little mini tour up and down the West Coast, and got nice connections for my business. And you know, so it definitely, as far as the performances, Icelandic people more so would like to lounge. It's more like a loungy feeling when they go and listen to music. It's not so much like, hey, let's get up and dance to this nice song we have, unless it is like like a party showcase or there's a DJ or something like that. But if it's a band or a live performance, they more so will have like a loungy type of feel, to sit down and, you know, maybe tap their foot or something to it. But it's not like I feel like over here is more, is better received. I feel like people are more receptive to the music and the sound that I bring. I feel like it a lot of the times feels a little too futuristic for Icelanders, maybe. So they I don't know if they understand what I'm doing yet.
Interesting. And along those same lines, you said it's futuristic, and you also mentioned the movie and cinematic kind of touch to it and all of that. So I was just wondering, what is the movie industry like in Iceland? Like I said, there are parts of the world that I don't know and everything. I do know that there is, of course, Hollywood, and of course there is Bollywood over there in India, and of course there's Nollywood in Nigeria. I don't know if
Yes.
there's an Islewood
No,
or something along
no,
those lines, but is there
we
an active
don't know.
movie community there, and is there an active just a cultural community there? I do know that,
Yes.
as you mentioned before, it's a lot of it is native to the country with the drums. But I was just wondering, what is the movie and cultural landscape like?
So we still kind of hold on to, okay, movies. Let's start there. So movies is kind of small. It's tight knit. You know, the country's small, so they pretty much hang. We all hang in the same circles, and it's tight knit. Let's put it like we're mostly related to everybody's related to everybody in some form or fashion, and they kind of go by that, like, okay, so so who are you? Okay, are you related to somebody famous? Is somebody, so they'll look for that first, and then they'll be like, okay, yeah, well, you are talented. I don't know how they do it. I've never sat in on a meeting, but like, that's how I envisioned it. So but I just feel like I've been through application processes to get into festivals and shows, and I've tried to get on radio for years, and like a lot of it felt I was met with that skepticism versus like the welcoming. Oh, hey, you do arts too? Hey, let me show you what you can do. Which I found more so in Norway, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's more so over here as well. I find more avenues for the artist over here and in Norway than I did in my country.
Well, so there were more avenues there, and all along those lines. That's interesting that you would have more avenues in that sense versus some of the other places that you might go to in and all along those lines. You did say that part of the reason of coming here was because of the whole romance and the love and all along that line. But I was wondering, is this person also in the arts? Because I've got friends of mine that have said, hey, you should definitely, and I mean, about to hit that 6 number, and they're like, you should find somebody in media and arts and all along those lines. And then I've had others been like, nope, go find yourself a doctor. Yeah, because even in your older age, you could still be searching for love, as they say, and all along those lines. So I was just wondering, in your own life, was this somebody that you met through the arts, or was it somebody that you met in another way of meeting folks?
I'm gonna keep this very short. It's a combination. So we met through arts, but he's not an artist, but he was involved in it. Yeah.
Gotcha. As long as he was involved in it, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
And all, I'm not going to press it. I'm not going to be that kind of person to press things along those lines. We don't have to do that in the least bit. So, one of the things that happens here, and a lot of times folks talk about it, is education. And I do know other parts of the world. Actually, I think Iceland is one of those that is actually considered one of the top ranked places in terms of places to live, and also in terms of education, from what I remember. But here in the States, we've got actually leaders of even this network that complain about our academic school system. They feel that we are in the 21st century, but we have 18th century values, and that we don't do enough of teaching about financial responsibility and about the arts and about creativity and about a number of other things. I would even argue home care, and in some cases even like auto care and just basic survival and health care. But I was just wondering your thoughts around that, and do you feel that we as a world are doing enough to encourage people to get involved in the arts and to see arts as an important element of education?
Okay. I keep saying, because I have 3 boys and they're all in the U.S. school system, so a public school, and my 2 older ones, they just came back from Iceland, and they were in the Icelandic school system for since the start of the pandemic until recently. So they got to feel firsthand how different it is. Like, we still implement a lot of like trade. Like, we still have like mandatory swimming lessons, carpentry, Like we still got home education, you know, like cooking classes, you know, like there's certain things that we still do that I feel like is hard to find over here. Especially I was looking for schools for my sons when I first moved here, and it was just really hard to find the basic stuff like PE, for instance. They actually have to take an extra bag with them, and you know, take a change of clothes, and you know, go shower afterwards, and then get into class. Like that's actually like something that they have to do still. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things that play a part, of course, you know, and of, you know, different size of population as well, and you know, different system. But I'm just saying, for somebody that was looking for, you know, just to swim, or you know, basic home, like some skills in the kitchen, you know, like just certain things that would be good for everybody to need, like financial, you know, responsibility, and just knowledge, just health in general, you know. Like I feel like there's a lot of things they could add on, absolutely. And I agree that there is could definitely be improved. Yes.
No doubt about it. There's definitely have some major improvements in that sense and everything. I know another thing that happens here in the States is we've been having a lot of conversations around division and around divisionary points. I know Iceland, like you said, is a smaller country and probably a more homogenous community in the sense of I don't know what kind of minorities they've got and things along that line. But I was just wondering, from your own observations, what has been your reaction when you've seen some of these divisionary points, whether it's Black Lives Matter or whether it's a number of other things that are out there? I was just wondering your thoughts and how you have dealt with that.
We've actually had these discussions too. So I am in favor of justice and fairness and treating the person in front of you with the same respect you want to be treated with. And I just don't feel like this country succeeds in that. When it comes to a lot of like just the mutual respect for your neighbor and, you know, like for the person in front of you, I feel like there's, you know, still some issues. I mean, there's progress. Let me put that, there's progress, but I feel like we definitely have a long way to go when it comes to repairing everything. And like Iceland is not like perfect. It's not free from that at all. And if anything, it's an island, so you can't really escape it. Like you can't go anywhere. You know, you just kind of got to make the change. You know.
Yeah.
So a lot of changes have been made because even though we are small populated, it is like a melting pot of nations. Like we have a lot of different nations in there. So as far as now versus when I was a child, we got a variety of people and ethnicities, and you know, we have different cultures, and you know, we're more aware of the outside world now than we were maybe, let's say 20, 30 years ago.
That makes a lot of sense. I know another issue because definitely people that were in that space were very popular with it and all of that, but definitely the whole environment has been something that has been important to folks in Iceland as well as others. I was a big fan of the young lady Gretchen and all of that, but I was just wondering from your own standpoint whether you feel we're doing enough to address the whole issue of nature and our climate as well. And do you think also along with that artists should use their voice to talk about political and social issues?
Yes, I do feel like, I mean, we're probably not the experts, but if definitely if there's a matter that, you know, sits close to your heart, or, you know, you feel like you need to absolutely, I feel like you need to use your platform to do that. And it's amazing that you're mentioning this because I speak about this a lot. Like the trash and the stuff that we see on the side of the road, like you don't really see that where I come from. And it's just amazing to me that you could roll down your window and drop a whole bag of crap out the window and think nothing of it. Like I'm just, you know, as an observer, it feels sad. I'm gonna use sad.
I definitely agree. It's sad. It's interesting you bring that up because while I was seeing what we were going through in the pandemic and everything, that was one of the things that was frustrating me was I was seeing people that were doing what they said we should do, which is, wash your hands and wear the mask. But then you would also see those same masks on the bus if you're like me and a mass transit person or on the ground. And I'm going like, well, isn't that another form of pollution? And what is going on there if you're tossing the mask after you're done instead of a trash can, you're tossing it on the floor? Because that seems to me that is not doing anything good for the environment. It might be a slower process than what the actual germs coming into your face that's supposed to be what the mask is preventing was going to be doing and everything, but it is still a long range problem if we're going to sit there and just drop them off on the ground. And I know that I've seen quite a few of those just walking around, and I'm going like, can't you find a trash can or a receptacle somewhere?
And because trash cans are in abundance, like you see them all over the place. They're around every corner, and which makes you wonder, like, what was the difference between those 4 steps? And but then again, hold on one second. I think my son's coming home. Hold up.
No problem.
Middle of an interview.
No, you're good.
Yeah, so I'm in the middle of an interview.
Oh, he's not here.
Being a mom is a good thing.
Not on the book.
Monday.
Yeah. So
he's with Dad. Sorry.
No, you're perfectly good. And I'm going to do something really quick. I'm going to play one of your songs. I'm actually going to play it with a piece of artwork that I found, which is a piece of Iceland. So that's part of what I was doing while I was interviewing you. So we're going to hear a little bit of Sayonara and all of that. So I'm going to play that, and then we'll come back and have a conversation with you. And I've got another artist that might be joining us as well. But we're going to hear a little bit of Sayonara and the backdrop that folks will see, because I had to create it from an MP3 to an MP4, is some part of Iceland that I found. I have no idea where this is, but it looks nice.
All right. Thank you.
Why don't you take a seat? I cooked you a nice meal. Relax, kick off your shoes, scratch off all your to-dos, 'cause I did everything for you. Take a glass of wine, sip on a little something. You had a long day, make sure I got you nice and good. I'll do everything for you. Always they'll be as weak. Had a couple tricks on my sleeve. You underestimated your opponent. Shouldn't have underestimated your opponent. I have it in for you, but I got the perfect plan for you. You underestimated your opponent. Shouldn't have underestimated your opponent. Sing bye, 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 bye. Before my eyes, sayonara, baby. Bye, 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 bye. Sayonara, sayonara. Feeling sure
Wow.
Hello.
All right, I was fascinated at everything, but definitely I was even liking the enjoyment. And you were talking about being in Island Nation. I was going like, I think she's been influenced by some reggae, or maybe some
Yes.
reggae type beats and everything, because I definitely picked up that there was some influences of another part of the islands, because you're like in those northern islands up there near the North Pole. But I was hearing like some definite influences of maybe like some Bob Marley or some Jimmy Cliff or some other people along those lines. So I was wondering, it sounds like you've had some very global influences, not just Michael Jackson, but other styles of music from around the world. Is that a correct assumption?
Yes, I have. I'm like a jukebox. I love music and I listen to all kinds of music and from all genres, from reggae to R&B to soul to rock, heavy metal to ballads and contemporary. A lot of 80s music. A lot of 80s music. Men's choirs, opera, musicals, Disney, a lot of Disney too. So it's a mixture of things, variety of things. Yes.
Sounds like a mixture of things. Sounds like a great mixture of a lot of various factors and all that. Because as I was listening, I was going like, yeah, this is definitely something that I could groove to and all of that. I don't know what that person was talking about, that you were not having a nice tone in the voice, because I was actually enjoying what I was hearing. I was sitting there grooving and getting ready to dance and enjoy the self and all. And as far as the mom moment, I can definitely relate. As you can tell, we are all about what a friend of mine, and he does a business workshop calls it reality TV. So we do know that reality can come into the life and everything. You heard me talking to people about bills and things along those lines, which is why we started a little bit later than usually I would be doing stuff and all along those lines. And I'm actually part of a puppet troupe that is on Clubhouse called the Funky App Puppets. And Bessie Minks, who is also a musician out of Chicago, but I think she's lived all over and is also influenced by a lot of different musical styles, is a mom as well. So I know sometimes when we're having rehearsals, she'd be like, "Time out, got to go take care of the youngin, so can't rehearse the lines right now, or come back to me later on, because y'all have to balance the work-life balance." So yes, that's one of the questions I was going to ask you is, how do you maintain that balance of work life, particularly in the entertainment field? And I do know that sometimes we even have to get um, regular day gigs. Like I got some friends of mine that are both in the entertainment field and some that are not in the entertainment field that are working things like DoorDash and Uber and Grubhub and Lyft and a number of those kind of gig economy jobs. So how are you able to survive, and how do you do the work-life balance?
So I it's kind of ironic. In the middle of the break, I got a phone call and I gotta go get my youngest son in the middle of the interview. So that's why I was trying to reach Carla. Uh, it's tough because sometimes it's unexpected. Like now, you think you have the time and you schedule it accordingly, and then life happens and you have to go. So you try to put it down on the calendar and make sure you make time for everything, and it doesn't always happen.
I understand. So
It
I'm gonna
does
let
not.
you go, and I've actually got another guest that I was gonna bring on. I actually wanted y'all to meet each other because they're in the performance space as well. But I do understand that if you've got to go. But one of the things I was gonna say is that if you can leave people your social media, and we've kind of alluded to it, but
Absolutely.
something that I try to give all my guests to do is to, we're in the middle of this crazy world. We've got the thing going on in the Ukraine. I am all about positivity and hope. So if we can find a message of sharing that can give people a message of hope and positivity in this wild and crazy world that we are in the middle of, I would love to hear that from you as well. And then I might just bring up symbiosis in case he has some things that he wants to say to you as you're saying that, and as you're also getting ready to head out the door. But I can totally relate, and I have no problem with that because I'm just a cooperative person, and I
Oh,
hope that you will come back on in the near future, and that we will continue our conversation, because I've thoroughly enjoyed
absolutely.
talking to you, and I've thoroughly enjoyed what I've learned about you so much so far, and I'm hoping to hear even more of your music. But I have become a fan already of you, the person, and you, the performer.
Thank you. Likewise, I really appreciate you. And words of encouragement, I say love on each other more and do more of what makes you happy. Life is short.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense. And how can folks find you in social media?
That would be my social media handle is Annahlin and the Spirit. I had put it on my name also. If you need to read it, I will put it in the chat as well. And that would be ANNAHLIN and the Spirit all together. And yes, I'm on all platforms, just like that.
Sounds great. Like I said, we're going to let you go on and deal with your family and go pick up the kid. We do know that things like that happens. Symbiosis, do you have anything that you want to share with Anna before she walks out the door and I learn a little bit more about you and everything? I know you were hearing that music, but I didn't know if you had any words of wisdom for Anna as she heads out the door and does the whole mama thing.
Yeah, no, that track was a vibe.
Thank you.
I would love to have that in my library.
Thank you.
One of my artistic expressions is DJing. Again, excuse the mess of the room, but this is my workstation right here.
All right.
So,
I see it.
Yeah, I love like reggae and like drum and bass, hip hop, everything.
Nice.
Let's see if I can turn
It's
that
a
back on.
pleasure to meet you.
You as well. If you drop your links in the chat, I'll definitely check them out after. I'd really like to hear share
I will do that. And I forgot to mention we are launching a challenge, Annahlin and the Spirit Bye Bye Challenge, which is a open verse for any artist to collaborate on and post on either the Instagram or the TikTok.
Okay.
Their video from it, and that would be, we're welcoming anybody, whether you sing or rap or talk or play an instrument, whatever you feel like doing, So we got the link right now on my Instagram, so follow me on social media, Annahlin and the Spirit, and take part in the challenge.
I'm going to upload that up right now. Can you spell it out for me really quick before you go? I know you said you got family stuff.
Yes.
If you don't have time, it's cool. I can get it from
I'll put it in the chat right now.
All right. Sounds great and everything.
Thank you so much.
Symbiosis. I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate Anna being on. I was just going to let folks know more about you, Symbiosis, and what you're all about. And one of the things I was going to ask Anna, and if she can stick around and if she wants to answer it, she can. But I definitely understand if she can't, is I've met both of y'all through the wonders of social media. So I was wondering if you could share a little bit about the importance of social media to your own existence and to your own creativity.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's a great starting point. Or were you asking Anna?
If Anna wants to take it before she heads out the door.
Are you getting ready to go?
Yes, I'm just putting my information in the chat, and then I gotta run. But it's as far as social media, I feel like it has a great impact right now, especially in this day and age. Like it's not like it used to be, where it was more like guerrilla marketing out in the streets and pushing it out physical. Now it's more it's also that, but it's more incorporating the new as well, and I feel like it's just as important. I had to learn that, but it's definitely just as important, I feel.
No doubt. Definitely appreciate it. So, Symbiosis, share a little bit about your thoughts on social media and the various social media spaces that you're involved in.
Yeah. So great place to start, actually. So I have a love-hate relationship when it comes to social media. I'm also a word nerd, so I'll get into the me part of media in a second. So it has been like social media platforms like Instagram, Clubhouse, and recently Twitter and the Twitter Spaces, the social audio on there, have been pretty much my only social life throughout most of the pandemic, aside from between June 2020 and when did I start? Maybe August. June to August I was full on homeless, and then August through January of 2021, I was fortunate enough to receive state assistance, and they put us up at a Motel 6 in Portland, Maine, which had just come under new ownership, and it was crumbling. Probably, like had mold in the walls and stuff like that. I don't know if you're sure, but there were, I got stories to tell about that. That's coming. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, so the internet was kind of hard to access there. It was really slow, but I did the best I could. It severely negatively impacted my my counseling appointments because the internet there wasn't fast enough to handle Zoom. So I had to do phone appointments, and I am extremely sensitive. I over the course of I had someone suggest it to me a few years ago, but I really became certain that I'm on the autism spectrum over the course of 2020 into 2021, thanks to a lot of, again, social media. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, thanks to social media and adult autistic creators and mental health advocates, having the courage to be vulnerable and share their story. And yeah, so
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. A lot of times we don't think about the fact that, we were talking earlier to Anna about where she's from, Iceland, but definitely, we're supposed to be one of the richest nations in the world and all of that. It's supposed to be, in my mind, doing a lot better job than we are doing with everybody from our veterans to our homeless. And you just mentioned the fact that you were homeless and all of that. So I was just wondering your thoughts about how can we even have a homeless problem? And I know that if I go out later on this evening to get a bite to eat, I will probably run across a gentleman that I've known now for a couple of years who is even older than I am. He's probably in his 70s or something like that. And he may even be a veteran, but he is definitely in that homeless space and in that panhandling space. And, he does all right for surviving and all. But, just to see that is heartbreaking. And that's right here in Durham, North Carolina. And we know we can see it even in bigger cities like New York and Portland and LA and places like that. But, we're a nation of riches. So I'm still trying to wrap my head around how we can even have this problem. But I'd love to know your thoughts around that.
Oh yeah, as someone who is autistic and always been a deep feeler, like you just touched on, things that have deeply bothered me since I was a child. And I'm a firm believer in reincarnation. So I think I knew I was here to do what I've been doing recently my whole life, and I let the current culture we live in, kind of make me afraid to be my most authentic, unique self for quite a while. But again, it was thanks to social media that and connecting with people in meaningful ways through IG Live, stuff like that. But back to the debt inequality question, man, that's a big one. But I've recently just got to a point where it's like I know what I need to do, and I'm meeting the people that I need to do it with. And if money's supposed to come, it'll come. But until then, like, I've held my tongue long enough. Like, I've spent too much of my time like living in fear and worried that the problem was too big for me to do anything about. And I don't feel that way anymore. Like I've got a couple poems about it. Man, so many synchronicities though. What you're talking about with the trash. I have a business concept in mind that's not even really like, might not necessarily be a business, just more of a volunteer side project that I do once I manifest my Winnebago camper van
Right.
to tour across the country and meet all the amazing people I've been meeting online and share stories and create art and, show the world through social media and through another platform that I'm developing with a few friends, a growing, community of neurodiverse people from, all over the world. I have a few friends in the UK, a few here in the States, and the website that my soul sister Malika and I started right around this time last year. It's called Poetic Just Us. So it's going to be a multi-tiered platform, but we like to think of it as a social media network. There's too much me in media. There's too much distraction tactics, too much fear, too many advertisements. I'm not about that. What you were saying, the questions you were asking, this is stuff that we can solve as a humane family if we work together. There's so much creativity, so much talent, and just this wave of awareness and accountability that's been happening despite all the craziness to balance all the craziness we've been seeing.
Right.
It's I'm coming in a pretty good state today, but I mean, January, catatonically depressed all through the month. But I, had isolated and was squandering the most valuable resource that we're all blessed with, which is our time and attention on this planet. And I was just feeding that cycle of negativity and self-doubt and but anyways, it was around the beginning of February that I was like, you know what, I got to make some changes. I know it, I know how to manifest things if I put the work in, and I shifted my attention and started hanging out in a lot of mental health peer support spaces in Twitter, and I went from 140-ish followers, friends, to I'm close to 600 or 700 now, I think. Kind of rebranded myself there because that started off as a not safe for work account to explore my sexuality, which is something I didn't get honest about until 2019. That's been a journey of self-discovery. Starting just accepting the fact that I was gay and then being like more queer than gay, and then coming to identify more as non-binary, because again, growing up, especially being neurodiverse and processing things differently, I didn't really have many friendships. I had one or two really close friends throughout the course of this, that I could have deep, meaningful conversations with, but it definitely felt like we were, it felt like we were a rare breed, but again, thanks to the internet, I'm finding a lot more soul tribe. Go ahead.
I'm going to say along those same lines, on the one hand, I'm seeing it being a very good thing in the sense of us all addressing who we are and what our identity is, whether that's in the space of mentality or religion or physical characteristics or different other kind of characteristics. Because I know a lot of people will identify by their race or their ethnicity, but they will also identify by their gender or gender orientation. And now we're seeing more and more conversations around what you are spiritually with your practice in the spirituality, or what you are in the sense of being autistic or neurodiverse, or I actually fall into the kind of some of that spectrum because I have something called dysgraphia, which is a form of dyslexia. It just means that
okay.
you go down the street and you ask me left and right. It might take me a little bit of a longer second to figure out which way is left and which way is right. It'll get done, but it might take a little bit longer. And there's some other things that go within the dysgraphia as well. But that's the primary way that I describe it, as opposed to the writing dyslexia version. and all of those lines. But I was just wondering, while I'm glad to see that we are addressing these issues, but we're also seeing a rise in bullying. So I'm wondering, does the ability of all of us to identify these different ways sometimes help us, but also sometimes hurt us? Because if we're all identifying by the various division points, then that can also be something that can be used to pull us apart, or it can also be used as something to help us because we want to have people identify us the way we want to be identified.
Exactly. Again, it is, it's an ongoing thing, even for me. And I think culturally, and when I say culture, I mean globally, because we like it's one culture that's kind of taken over, and one of my favorite authors, Daniel Quinn, refers to it as taker culture, which started with what we're taught of as the agricultural revolution, even though humanity was practicing agriculture for tens of thousands of years or longer before that. But the birth of our culture stemmed from one particular form of agriculture that started violating every single natural law that every other species adheres to, which is a law of fair cooperation and interdependence in ecosystems. And during the agricultural revolution in Mesopotamia, they started killing off all the predators, if you like, all the rodents. Like we started seeing, industrial, like the beginnings of industrial farming, which caused, consistent increases in food supply, which has not stopped to the present day. And science has proven that in any living species, us included, increase in food supply means increase in population. Now, the problem that we face, not just with food, but with housing, with water, with, access to education, literacy, in certain areas, even in this country, which is disgusting. It's not equitably distributed. So that's but conversely, his books were one of the first signs of hope for me in terms of us as a species, and being able to actually turn the tide and bring the planet and humanity back into balance. But I think I've strayed a bit from the original question.
No, that's okay. And speaking of balance, we're in the middle right now of this whole thing going on between
the bullying,
Ukraine and Russia and all of that. And of course, a lot of people are concerned about the climate. I actually had a guest on that long ago, maybe about 2 or 3 months ago, that was of the opinion that if we're not very careful, we might not have to worry about anything because we might not be here and all of that. I knew that was a very negative to some degree thought, and not one that I necessarily want to buy into, because don't have any kids of my own, but I do have 2 nephews that are about to be 13 and 14 in the month of August. So of course I would love to see them make it to not just my age, but my dad's age, their granddad's age, if not beyond that. I'd love to if they can make it to the 90s or the 100s or maybe even beyond. But this channel is about if we don't do some drastic actions in the next 5-10 years, there might not be any of us on the planet. And I was talking to somebody else and they were like, no, we can still be on the planet. We just might have to live underwater, like be in Atlantis instead of living on the earth and all of that. But I was just wondering, what are your own thoughts about that? Are you of those kind of opinions that we are basically doomed as humans, or do you have hope and optimism that we can get past this and that we can actually survive as a species?
I'm gonna say the second one, and it's I've had to fight really hard to hold on to that, and some days I still lose it.
Right.
But yeah, I think it might be a good time if you're willing or interested. If I shared something that I wrote, because
please, I would definitely want to hear your creativity,
because I think deeply about a lot of these topics, and sometimes in conversation, my brain's like, it's not that I process slower than other people. It's that I'm processing more constantly. And sometimes the route from brain to mouth and forming words that can convey the depth of what I feel and think. I can't do it in the moment. I've had some moments of clarity where I can kind of start to freestyle, which is exciting. It's like simple little rhymes and stuff, not like rapping per se, but yeah, like writing, and again, that came from spending a lot of time on social media. But this is a piece that I wrote for a contest on Vocal Media, which is another writing platform that allows authors access to, get paid based on reads to their accounts, and people can subscribe to different creators, and there's options to tip right on the page. So that's one of many avenues that I tried and haven't posted consistently on. But anyways, they do contests, and they did one for Black History Month called We Have a Dream Challenge. Basically, it was asking people for their personal take off of, like the ideas and ideals expressed in Martin Luther King Jr.'s famous "I Have a Dream" speech.
Right.
So this was what I came up with, and it wasn't particularly a poetry contest, but I read the prompt and I sat down and this came out. This is actually the edit. The original is still on Vocal. So it's C-S-E-E of dreams. See, I have far too many dreams to list. Picture, for instance, a multi-hued endless sea of skyward fists, sharing strength to peacefully resist oppression, fear, and ignorance. A symphony of diversity, individual instruments intertwined and synchronized seamlessly, achieving harmony effortlessly, singing songs of freedom and equality, destroying the deafening silence of an epoch of apathy, greed, and violence, one that is currently collapsing, despite those who misled us desperately grasping the reins of control purchased at the cost of their souls, keeping us separate, though most of us long to connect and be whole. You see, I dream of a world where we're no longer imprisoned, physically, mentally, or spiritually, by a select, secretive, and misguided branch of our shared family tree, who've historically held power through techniques and trickery, wielding meanly through means, both overt and subconsciously. Methods ranging from lynchings on public streets to love scenes on movie and TV screens, but only the ones they want us to see. Our true freedom of choice subverted by a certain culture's whispering voice to men, repressing and silencing our siblings who raised their own too loudly in opposition. From Martin Luther King Jr. to Brother Malcolm, Tupac to Lenin, violent reminders from the villains with billions that peace and love are more powerful than division. See, if the forces that oppose us can't discredit dreamers in public opinion, they've shown time and again that they're willing to kill us. Poisoning once pure waters of collective consciousness, sly lies disguised by public grief over the loss of another guiding life, they whisper. Dreams can be dangerous, especially if you get too many other dreamers listening. You see, the dreams I picture are drawn from a long line, connecting dots drawn by artists and dreamers who've lived purposely through turbulent times, some of whom have fought and died, daring to draw outside of culture's coloring book's lines. Kings and queens leading battles in the spiritual war waged against us since its beginning, a war that we are winning. Individuals and communities escaping a weakening web of lies woven by eyes who gaze blind upon different, choosing to fear and despise, instead of expanding their view and looking deeper to find the beauty and wonder our contrasts can hide. But before you color me crazy, whether after carefully considering or summarily, know that my objective isn't to lead your mind, rather only free mind, to dream bigger and do better, and as often as possible, to be kind to myself and those I meet, regardless of what may occur outside or in the depths of my own mind. You see, Gandhi said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." And if you ask me what kind of change I wanted to see, I tell you that for as long as I can remember, I just wanted to see a world that's more kind.
Wow.
You see, the sea of my dreams is an ever-changing liquid vision, forever flowing into existence. I dream of drops of kindness, practiced individually, leaking into love, spreading between friends and family, surging into selflessness, spilling into the streets, soaking soulmates and strangers in every community indiscriminately with compassion, rippling outwards in every direction, eventually towering into a tidal wave of humane change, powerful enough to wipe away a whitewashed age of fear and pain, clearing common ground between its wand reclaimed to collectively create a rainbow-hued masterpiece in coming days, building upon the stable foundation of a shared remembrance, one I feel is of vital importance. The sacred duty of supporting and holding our shared planetary parent in reverence. You see, she's been here long before and is destined to outlive us. If we can't turn the tide soon, then one day soon she might disown us. So I feel it might be wise if we sow seeds of peace and progress while the sun still shines upon us. You see, at the end of the day, even though life sometimes feels like a nightmare, I can honestly say I'm living my dreams, claiming the gift of each moment gratefully, and as often as possible taking the opportunity to expand imagination and intuition, to learn and to listen, and accomplish my own personal tasks so we can succeed in our shared mission of winning a future where all are free to dream. Finally, though I may doubt at times, I still believe not only the outline I traced on this screen, but in everyone's right and ability to transmute pain, hopes, and dreams into reality. Though invariably we will face obstacles and adversity, if we fight for love, we will succeed. So, if you should choose to take a simple suggestion from me, and I could choose what that would be, it would be this: never stop dreaming. Keep believing. We need you. Or not.
Wow, that was powerful. That was very powerful and very emotionally driven and all of that. As a matter of fact, I was thinking even before you read it that when I first got into journalism, I had to do something similar, but it was actually around one of Martin Luther King's other speeches, which was about chaos or community, because I actually had to take chaos or community and ask the question. And this was written in 1979, so it was written maybe a decade after he had passed and everything, what I thought he would be dealing with the issues at that time. And I remember writing as a high school kid that I felt that he would be addressing the wars that were going on at that time, the pollution that was going on at that time, the race that was and the division that was going on at that time, and even things around homelessness and a number of other issues. My parents may still have that paper laying around somewhere and everything. But the scary thing is that, like I said, I wrote that, I believe that camp was in 79. So I probably wrote that in either early 79 or 78 as a teenager. I'm now 59 and about to be 60. And I could probably write literally the same thing today. And it would
probably just as relevant, if not more so.
Exactly. And that's a scary thing. It will be even more relevant because we have not come as far as we can from Dr. King's dream. And I was glad that you mentioned Malcolm X, because a lot of people think of Malcolm X and the Black Panthers as being militant. And while they did have some militant aspects, a lot of what they were aspiring to was also sometimes they even founded things, because a lot of people forget that that whole program of giving food out to the poor that is now a government program was actually to some degrees created by the Black Panthers in that area of Oakland and all along those lines. And also, when people talk about the racial divide, they think of the more militant, hate whitey version of Malcolm X, but they forget that at Malcolm X's latter years, he had gone to Mecca and he had seen people that looked more like himself, and he had actually moved away from some of that narrative as well. So people forget those aspects of history, because we try to sometimes put people in too narrow of a time frame of what their existence is. And we even do that on the opposite side, because I think that if we're going to talk about Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln as being the great individuals they are for the founding of the country, we also have to realize that they were also slave owners. So we have to realize the entire narrative of what they were as individuals. And I know that we always cover that. We sometimes put them in pockets of their existence. I don't know that we've even discovered the depths of who Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman were, because we're so busy talking about the railroad aspect of what they are and the I Am a Woman speech of Sojourner. And I'm sure that they had both some good and bad in their life and existence, but we don't even explore that. But that's just my thoughts. I know, unfortunately, because I know you came in late, but we do have a few more minutes, but I do have to wrap up around 4 and everything. But one thing that you mentioned that I'd love to hear more thoughts about from you, because I also consider myself one as well. I've got several friends that do also. But how important do you think it is for you to be an empath, and how do you cope with that? Because being an empath can be great, but it can also be problematic, because we do sometimes feel more deeply than others do, and all along those lines. And I was just going to share with you really quickly before you answer. You were talking about how your method of talking is and method of thinking is. And I have a good friend of mine out of California, and we sometimes talk about that, because when we get in conversations with each other, we do what they have labeled convo surfing, which means that the conversations might go a little bit of everywhere, but we are having very interesting conversations, but they might go in a lot of circular ways, as what you were just describing, what you do and all of that. So they call it convo surfing, which means that you're kind of like talking about a lot of issues, and the issues come into the conversations, but they go through long stories, telling versions to get to the points.
Right. And that's what I love so much about all the connections that I've been making with the neurodiverse community is, that we can have these tangential conversations, but like 2 to 5 participants, like in the Discord chats that we've had so far, let's see. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen here. I don't know if you can move me out of the way, or okay, I see. Cool. Never mind. That was my window on top of the screen that I have on. So the page that I'm sharing is
and I can bring
poetic.
That up.
Is our page Poetic Just Us. You still got to access it through my link tree on my Instagram or SoundCloud, because we still don't. We're still working on generating the funds for a business page. But even without that, we've had a few members join, and we've had hits from all over the world. But you asked about being an empath, and you said we had a few minutes left. So if I may, I'd like to share our mission statement.
Please.
This is my battle cry. I stand before you today to say, finally, at long last, I am no longer afraid. From this point forward, I will fight with every peaceful practice and tool I possess to stand in solidarity with all the oppressed, those whom history has consistently silenced, and through means both blatant and stealthy, either discredited or silenced. Those separating us all from source and selfishly hoarding the magic we all possess. Until illness is no longer a source of income, until the airwaves are no longer inundated with information that makes us question our intuition, instead fueling fear by propagating separation and suspicion, until we all have access to our right to security, shelter, and support, and those few who oppress us finally surrender to this simple fact. We are all family. To all bureaucrats and billionaires, I say, with all of your avarice, greed, and apathy, you're killing your own family and our loving mother, whom still supports us all despite your persistent transgressions against natural law. These words, while fueled by justified anger, are said with no hate, and from the bottom of my heart, I can honestly say, I forgive you. For like me, your life experiences have conditioned and confused you, and through my own personal healing, I came here to tell you you can break through and reverse the karma you continue to create if you want and work to. To all those in military and law enforcement, social services, corporations, and government, I say simply, despite the urge to scream, despite what you may currently believe, you are on the wrong team. To those watching behind the screens, FBI, CIA, NSA, CDC, whatever your alphanumeric abbreviations may be, those followers and fans whose usernames and stats I can't see in my social media insights, you've probably heard all this before, and I honestly hope you're enjoying the show. Once again, I applaud your intentions and efforts to protect your fellow man, as I sincerely hope is your reasoning. For if not, you serve the same evil as those who mistakenly believe they're the ones at the top of the pony strings. And I'll stress once again, as I will till I can't, it's not too late to change teams and share what you know with those like myself who still dream of a world in which our human family returns to its rightful place as protectors and stewards of all life forms on the planet. To those like me who have seen and who feel the pain of our human family, whether directly or indirectly, through personal pain or the trauma that resounds and echoes throughout our collective consciousness, I say this: you are not alone. You are loved. You are beautiful. And what you feel and how you love is both valid and natural. Though sadly, the need yet exists to specify only if it's consensual. Your scars, whether on your skin or those that lie deeper in, are proof of your victories over the vicious tactics of our current culture. Bear them proudly and with honor. Your struggles and successes inspire fellow seekers, as so many of you have and will continue to do for me. If, like me, you thought you're broken for feeling as deeply as we do, I'll remind us all, as we must often as possible bring to each other's attention, that the double-edged sword of our above-average sensitivity is exactly that. Compassion and empathy, a keen-edged weapon that can both score our soul or cut through the lies of our separation. And through things such as music, art, and kindness, be wielded to battle injustice and oppression and promote the peaceful propagation of love and understanding by raising our voices not in anger, but in songs of solidarity and support, until at long last, we all can be free to be who and what we once were and came here to be. One nation, one tribe, one love, one vibe, one humane family. Now, many may question my motives, my words, and my mission, so for those who will listen and from there make their own informed decision with the insights they've gained, I say what I do without any desire for fortune or fame, nor attempt to take credit for these ideas or information. I am but a vessel. My voice, a vehicle, merely mirroring a message more masterfully stated by many who came before me. Their teachings, lessons of love, lighting the fire that fuels my soul, one that will burn long after this body is passed from this plane of existence. And should those who serve the darkness seek to silence me with violence, as they have so many before me, or by addressing earlier chapters of my story in an attempt to discredit the healing I've already accomplished, or my ongoing amends for my past transgressions. I will tread confidently to whatever lies beyond, content in the knowledge that others will raise the banner, and one day win the battle, forced unwillingly upon our peaceful ancestors. And what's more, such attempts or actions would only underscore the truths and importance of these insights and my intentions. We are the meek. The earth is ours. Together, we can take it back under the condition that we unite and mount a focused attack using every peaceful tool and technique in our arsenal. Finally, I'll express an ever-deepening belief, one that will hopefully leave you grinning, perhaps provide just a bit of relief, and renew your will to survive. We are already winning, despite many attempts to convince us otherwise. And so, if these words have reached you, this is our battle.
Wow. Powerful symbiosis. Very powerful. Definitely some very deep words that need to be heard by many more and all of that. But definitely, I was thoroughly relating to what you were saying. And I was also thinking about a good friend of mine that talks about, he's actually in that funk music space. And I think I had alluded to him when Anna was on here earlier. But we oftentimes talk about, and he oftentimes has on his show, he does on Saturday, the light workers that are out there, and there definitely seems to be a rise in the light workers, and it seems to me that you're one of those light workers as well. It also seems like some people would say that there is more than us here on the planet, so some of these light workers might be coming from other places also, but that's just different philosophies and different thoughts,
Yeah.
and some may not agree and some may agree with that, but I definitely do think that there are plenty of light workers and that we're in the middle of a new renaissance. You probably heard me in Clubhouse say that a couple of times, that I feel that we're in the
I've
middle
been probably,
of a new
yeah.
cultural renaissance.
I think you had mentioned it the other night, and yeah, since early 2020, I've been referring to it as the virtual renaissance. And if you look up the activity that's coming in off the sun, there's been solar flares and just coronal mass ejections, like huge energy pouring into the planet from the sun. And the last time this planet has seen anything like that they can trace or quantify is the Renaissance after the Dark Ages.
Wow.
So, I won't get into, some of my feelings of why I think it's been more difficult to achieve or as stressful for some. And, we've definitely lost people
symbiosis.
that's enough, but yeah.
Well, symbiosis is just very clear. The answer to the question, just like I told Anna and everything, and I still hadn't explored everything musically with her, and I knew she had family responsibilities. But one of the things that I love about this show, this platform that Nick and Kim and others have given me, is that I can bring people back on again. So hopefully you will be available either this week or later on in this month and everything, and we can continue this exploration, because definitely I would love to hear your theories around the whys and the why nots of what is going on, and definitely I think that it is definitely worth your coming back. So if you would come back, I would definitely welcome you back and continue these deep conversations. And I also hope that right now, well, actually you just did it when you showed the screen, so folks do know how to reach you on that webpage, but you have other ways that you want people to reach you really quickly, and any short word of words of positivity, because I try to get all my guests to do that as they head out the door, just like I did Anna. But yeah, you're just part of the family, so I definitely look forward to seeing you come back and share more of your views.
One thing, like I would love to come back, but I would prefer to talk about what we can do now about the future. I really I've fallen into those rabbit holes of anxiety and paranoia, thinking about the forces that oppose us, but like part of the way they're winning is by keeping us distracted and keeping our attention on what may or may not be happening, or what the motives may or may not be behind what's happening. Fuck that. It's not important. What's important is what we can do now and how we can make the world a better place where we are right now.
Agreed. I thoroughly agree with that. And everything.
Oh yeah, I'm looking for my link tree.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to let folks check out about Anna's challenge and all of that. So that's actually what's going across the screen right now. And I'm also going to put up the one that you just gave me a minute ago so folks can get that one that has the poetic. And if you have the link tree, I will add that also. But I am letting folks check out about Anna's challenge that she's got going on IG. So hopefully folks will go and check that out and join that conversation as well. And like I said, I'm going to check our banner conversation and try to get your link on there as well.
Yeah, I just let's see. Let me actually send it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I did. I sent it twice. So we do also have a Discord server that's invite only. One of our family has to have like actually had a voice conversation with you on Spaces, or you're welcome for sure. If you'd like, I can send you the link in Instagram. Where like that's the screen that I shared before. That's I think Poetic Justice is actually going to be under the umbrella of Cosmic Circus, because we're going for some space pirate radio stuff. I have friends that are well acquainted with the crypto and NFT world, and we're basically trying to build a community and build resources and finances to be able to like really take action in the real world, in our various places to be the change we want to see in the world.
No doubt about that. And definitely do send me that Discord. I belong to a couple of Discord channels, including the Funky Eye Puppets and blackowned.com, and even a couple of other ones as well. But definitely would love to be part of what y'all have got going on in Discord. And I'm a big fan of Discord. So please do add me on to that. And of course, we've had this conversation, but if I have to have other conversations with others, I do not mind having those inaugurations or initiation kind of conversations. Whatever you want.
I like, again, once someone's welcomed into the squad, like I trust their judgment implicitly. Like, and like I hope the same goes for my co-founder Malika and the others that have joined us so far. It's the idea is bigger than us, and I think that's where like social movements in the past have tripped up, or maybe they were the vanguard and they got taken out because they weren't prepared for how well organized and subtle and devious the forces that oppose us are. So closing thoughts for positivity. This one's short. I wrote this last year on the spring equinox, and it's titled Re-Genesis. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was love. As below, so above, unconditional abundance is our birthright, as our true essence is sound and light. But for far too long, the few have sought to control opinions, voices, ideas, and deeds. So to me, 19 is the true mark of the beast. But to tie to tradition, I request you envision the mental, emotional, and spiritual condition of our misguided siblings, secretly determining the direction of popular attention. To each aforementioned, I can easily attach a single definition, and it is this: sick, sick, sick. But believe it or not, good news yet exists. If you turn off the TV and its incessant do that and buy this, and set down the burden of bias heaped upon us since birth by an overcritical culture that has coerced us into compliance and conformity, and instead regain the reins of our sovereignty, summarized by this simple statement, no less powerful for its brevity. Love is greater than fear. Hindsight couldn't be more clear, at least to me, as it is, as it was, so it is, and ever shall be. Love wins.
Wow. What a powerful piece. What a powerful words of wisdom that you gave and all of that. On that note, we're going to get on out of here, but definitely I'm going to have to get you back. Might even get you back on the online dinner party on Wednesday. But if not,
Yeah.
I'll definitely be trying to have you back on next week or in the next couple of weeks because I have thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. And I know that you bring a great deal of wisdom and thought to a lot of these conversations. And I look forward to our continuing our dialogue as well because I'm
Thank you so
definitely
much.
enjoying what you're all about and enjoying what kind of knowledge you are giving us and what kind of ways you're getting us to reframe our thinking and all of that. And some of us are already having those kind of thoughts, but you might even be awakening some people as well. Because I am also about people having their spirits awakened also. So they gave me this lovely little robot that is my intro and outro. So I'm going to play that same robot beginning thing that the fine folks from India created some time back. I think it was about a year or two ago. And then we're going to get on out of here. And then I've got to do one other show and then produce some other friends' shows as well. But Symbiosis, it was
I'll
a
shoot you
pleasure.
that
And I look
Discord
forward to
link
seeing
if
you.
you're. I'll shoot you that Discord link if you're free later. We'll probably be in there hanging out in the Cosmic Circus, doing some live art or just chatting about life and plans and working on the website, all that stuff. It was a pleasure to meet you. I look forward to continuing this conversation soon.
Definitely. I look forward to doing this thing.
As I started saying for greetings and farewells, kind of in the spirit of Hawaii and Aloha, because of all the different time zones and amazing friends I've been meeting from around the world. I just started saying happy now. Happy now, fam. Much love. Until next
Much
time.
love to you as well, and happy now. And we're going to get on out of here. And definitely, I'll be looking for that Discord link from you. And if I don't join this evening, do know that I'll be joining within the next 24 hours because I got to see what my schedule looks like this evening. But I know
Yeah, no
tomorrow
worries.
is
It's
lighter,
very
I'll
organic.
definitely be there.
It's very organic. Like I was a little worried I was going to be late today, but then I got in and heard you said you started a little late because you were running behind. So I was like, oh, okay, it's not just me. Like, and like the last couple of days, I've been trying to just release into that. Be like, I trust divine timing. Like I know things are working out. And I think the more we can do that and encourage our friends and family and communities to do that and just trust what we feel in our hearts and work together and be kind to each other, like the world could be a beautiful place in not a very long span of time.
I agree with that. And that's what I'm looking forward to as well, trying to make this a better world. I'm a big fan of the old John Lennon song, Imagine. And I think that if we work at it, we can actually create that kind of environment that he was singing about as well. And also, it's what Martin was talking about when he was on that mountaintop. So I think that both of those were kind of putting a vision of what we can create if we work at it and if we do what we can to make it happen. And I know a lot of us light workers are doing the work at our hand. So I do feel that it is in our midst. It's just a matter of us not giving up the struggle and giving up the fight. So on that note, I'm going to put it on the radio show, but I'm loving your positivity. I hope you're loving mine, and we're going to try to make this a better world.
Stay positive, man. Stay positive.
No doubt.